Hey y'all, welcome back to another Wingin' It Wednesday.
Yeah. And finally, we have no class.
Woo! We graduated.
After 12 straight days of class, which seemed like a marathon and a sprint all in one.
It's true.
It
is true. Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome. We met a lot of great people, made a lot of new friends, and learned a heck of a lot of stuff.
Holy cow.
But that's not what this Wingin' It's about. This Wingin' It is about navigating through major cities with your RV. And this is near and dear to our heart, so we thought, why don't we talk about this one?
So, stick with us. That's what's coming up on this week's Wingin' It. All right, so y'all know the rules of Wingin' It. If you're new to our channel, let me just give you a refresher. We set the timer on my phone to 10 minutes.
Yep, we're back to 10 minutes. This
Yes.
isn't a supersized Wingin'
Not
It.
a supersized Wingin' It. There's only two of us.
Yes.
Nobody hiding
Nope.
behind the chair.
Stars
right.
behind the camera.
Stars working the camera. We set the timer on my phone for 10 minutes. We talk about the topic. When the timer goes off, we wrap things up. Really simple. And yes, we are back in one of our beautiful state parks and so excited. Much more on that coming up later. But for right now, we're going to set the timer on my phone. We're winging it.
We're winging it.
All right, so to get to this beautiful state park, from Athens, where we took our classes at the National RV Training Academy, we had a couple options probably on our GPS, but really it wanted us to go through Dallas. And we were fine with that because we grew up in Houston and we're comfortable driving in city traffic. It doesn't bother us. We know Houston like the back of our hands, so that's never a problem for us when they change things up. But, there were a few things we had forgotten. It had been a little while since we'd been through a major city other than Houston.
Yeah, really the thing we're taking away from this, because it's not just Dallas this time, it was Dallas this time, but we've had this happen in big cities before. We just hadn't learned our lesson yet. But I think this did it for us. We did have another route we could have taken. We could have gone around Dallas. It was a little bit more time, so the GPS said. I'm here to tell you there's no way it would have been more time. That's part of what this is about. So I just wish we'd taken the other route. And let me tell you, what.
It was like a perfect storm
literally
of travel, yes.
Literally. Right before we got to Dallas, we hit a serious storm. Luckily, we were going west, and the storm...
We were going north, and it was going south.
And it was going south, yes. And so we got through it relatively quickly. We just slowed way down, stayed on the interstate, and it wasn't that bad because everybody was going slow. So it wasn't bad to get through. But luckily, when we got to Dallas, it had already come through Dallas. Mm-hmm. And the reason being, when we got into Dallas, there's a lot of construction. And one thing to know about a big city, you definitely don't ever want to go through a big city during the week, during rush hour.
Right.
You don't want to go early in the morning. You don't want to go in the early evening because those times are a nightmare just into themselves. But we thought Sunday afternoon shouldn't be too bad, and we got it totally wrong because they had a lot of construction. Our RV GPS, Garmin, isn't that what it is?
No, we were using the Rand McNally.
Rand McNally. It didn't know about all these new construction sites. Neither did Google.
Yeah, as a backup, because we knew that, there was a possibility of running into some things that the GPS didn't know about. We like to run that, though, because it tells us about low bridges and things like that are specific to RVs, and it hopefully won't have us making U-turns and that type of thing. But we were running Google also as a backup, and they were giving us exactly the same directions. So we felt really good about it, because a lot of times Google will know if there's an ongoing construction project in our experience, but in this case, they didn't.
No, and with Dallas, when you get close to downtown, there's several quick changes. And what I mean by quick changes, I mean as soon as you take an exit off of one road, you may have to, within a quarter of a mile, go in another direction. And it's not necessarily exit and go right. It could be exit and go left. And it could be exit in the left lane. I mean, and all of these things happen in a short period of time. And then, in an RV, you can't just change lanes real quick. And I won't. I just absolutely won't. I mean, if I don't have time to get over, I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to go past it. I'm just, right. And that's a tip there. You know what? If you're going to miss it, just miss it. Don't take a chance and try to go over one or two lanes to satisfy the GPS.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. So, and of course, we had one of those moments where, it seemed like it was going well. We were in the correct lane, and we were doing our left and our right and our straight and don't get on the tollway, and we were doing it. But then all of a sudden, it seemed like we did it right, but then the GPSs, both of them, started going crazy. Hook a U-turn. What?
And we followed their directions. It was crazy. But somehow, we ended up, even though we followed the GPS and the Google directions where we wanted to go, they somehow both got confused, and we ended up on a road that was closed, and the road was gone.
Yeah, it wasn't. They both sent us on a road right when we turned on it. And had it been at night, here's another thing. Luckily it was during the day. We had plenty of time to get where we were going. We weren't traveling very far. Luckily it was in the middle of the day, because had it been at night, believe it or not, they had no barricades.
Maybe somebody had moved them. Who knows?
There were no barricades.
It could have been a real bad situation.
We could have driven right off of it, right into the road that they had torn up. It could have really been a bad deal. As is, it was bad enough, because we tow it with a Blue Ox, and you cannot back up with our system. So we got into an area where we were going to have to back up. So we just put her in park, went back there and disconnected the Jeep. That's all we could do.
Then turned both around. Reconnected. Took some time, since we were on a dead-end road. We had time then to really sit there and study where we were going to go and figure it out as best we could. And proceed on, because at that point, we were not really sure what was open and what wasn't.
Yeah, we're not really sure where we were at. It was crazy. So when we got back out, then luckily it was not raining in Dallas. That's what I'm saying. Had it been raining, that would have been a much bigger problem. But then we get on the road.
Oh, but we should say, because of the storm had gone through
That's
there.
what I'm about to say. We get on the road, and now all the lights are out, because the electricity is out.
And he means the signal lights.
Signal lights, yeah. So we can't, when we're just trying to make a left turn, it's one at a time, and there's traffic coming from all places. Oh my gosh. And we're going over a bridge. So for us to go, we're cutting off the road. It was crazy. But we got back on the freeway. That's all that mattered. And luckily, this time, we went the right way.
Yeah. So some tips that and this isn't the only time it's happened to us. We've had these crazy
It happened in St. Louis.
Construction changes, road reroutes, GPS getting confused in St. Louis. It's happened to us in LA. It's happened to us around San Antonio.
Yeah,
it's happened to us around Fort Worth in the past.
My point is, really, the biggest tip is give yourself a little more time when it comes to these big cities. If you don't have to go through them, don't. And the biggest reason is all the construction, especially in Texas. But I mean, it's happening everywhere. I mean, all the big cities in Texas have got a lot of road construction. So, you know, it's to be avoided if it can be. That's the main thing. And if you can go a loop around whatever city.
Take the more scenic route. It's more interesting, maybe, and not as stressful, because it does get stressful when everything's kind of coming down on you real quick and you're not really sure, what the right answer is, if you're supposed to turn left or right or be in what lane, or things are happening quick, things are changing. It's stressful. And so why stress yourself out when you can just avoid the situation?
I say just don't worry about adding 30 minutes to your journey, because I'll tell you, you think you're adding 30 minutes, but I think you're subtracting 30 minutes. Given what we went through a couple days ago, it cost us an extra hour on our journey. Had we gone the other way, we would have gotten here 30 minutes earlier. So it didn't save us anything. And it did give us a lot of aggravation. And I mean, it worked out in the end, and it's part of the journey. I mean, things are going to happen.
Yep.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Okay, that was quick. So just to wrap up
Yeah.
and tell you how you can avoid these types of things. Try to travel during the day.
Right.
Try to travel short periods of time during the day, so that, if things happen and don't go exactly as you planned, you've got time and daylight to adjust for that.
Stacy's just saying don't try to bite off too much if you can help it.
Right.
If you don't have to go 300 or 400 miles, don't go that far.
Right. Look at your route ahead of time on multiple devices, or maybe even the old school paper maps. We've pulled out some of those before, and that really helps us get a sense of where we're going to be going, so that you're not just relying on the turn-by-turn navigation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and like I said, just avoid the city if you can. Go around it.
Yeah.
And I think you'll have a much more enjoyable experience.
So we'd love to hear your tips. Tell us how you avoid those types of confusing situations when you're traveling in and around a big city. Love to hear it, and share your thoughts with everybody else. Please like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and keep on winging it.
Yeah, keep winging it.
We'll see you Sunday. Safe travels.
And happy camping.
Bye.
Bye.